In this session, I'm going to be talking to Isabella Shaya. She works for JD Advising right now. She took the bar exam a couple years ago. And basically, I'm going to be asking about her bar exam experience and if she has any advice or tips that she would give future Michigan bar exam takers. So thank you so much, Isabella,
You're
for
welcome.
joining us.
You're
All
welcome.
right, perfect. So Isabella, let's just start by talking about when you took the bar exam and where you stayed.
So I took the bar exam in July 2018, and I stayed at the Marriott East Lansing at University Place. I did not stay at the Kellogg Center, which is the closest um, hotel to both the Breslin Center, where it's held in July, and the Kellogg Center, where it's held in February, because the Kellogg Center was booked at that time. However, staying at the Marriott was no big deal. There was actually a lot of other bar applicants staying there, and two of my friends were on the same hallway just a few doors down. So it worked out.
Perfect. Did you find it distracting staying with other bar exam like staying in the same hotel as other bar exam takers? Was it a bunch of like nervous energy or anything like that, or was it okay?
Honestly, I was in my own space and I wasn't thinking a lot about other bar exam takers. After the bar exam, we were all together, so that was a lot of fun. But during the bar exam, it wasn't that big of a deal. I kind of stayed in my own space. I didn't go around a lot of bar exam takers. And in a way, it was nice to kind of see some other people that were in the same boat. I can see how it would be difficult for some test takers if they're talking to other bar exam takers who are very nervous. So if you're one of those people, I would just suggest avoiding anyone who's going to give you bad advice or make you really nervous before the exam.
That's good advice. Yeah, a lot of our students try to stay right at the Kellogg Center because it's connected to the Breslin Center. But we also have some that'll just stay like a half hour away and they book themselves some kind of luxury suite somewhere so they can be away from everyone. I can see advantages both ways. And if you're staying with a lot of other bar exam takers, you probably don't have a lot of noise or anything because everybody has to get up early and take the bar exam. So that makes for a quiet environment at least.
Mhm.
So, did anyone go with you to the bar exam?
So I brought my dad with me. I am very close with my dad, and I knew that he was the one person who would not bother me in any way or ask me questions about the exam or distract me in any way. Instead, he was extremely helpful, like I knew he would be. He drove me each morning to the exam, both days. Then he paid off the parking attendant and who allowed him to come in and go as he pleased. So he was right in front of the testing center. And he came to me at lunch with Subway sandwiches right there. So we ate in the car. Then he picked me up at the end of both days. Overall, he really calmed me down, and it was nice to have someone to talk to, not about bar exam related stuff. And he got me out of my head.
That's really nice to know. A lot of our students will stay. I think the most popular choices are a parent or a significant other for the most part. Some people do stay with other bar exam takers, probably if they're friends and if they want to save money or something like that. I went by myself. I didn't even consider taking someone else, so I think it is a good thing for people to consider doing. So good to know you had such a good experience. Your dad sounds like he was very helpful. I like that he paid off the parking lot attendant. What did you do the day before the bar exam?
So the bar exam is administered on Tuesday and Wednesday. And actually, that Sunday before, I drove up to the hotel room because I thought it would be helpful to sleep in the hotel one day before the bar exam. So just to get an extra night there to get acclimated and figure out everything about the room. But I don't really know if this was necessary, and it was a lot more expensive. So I don't know that like I don't know that it's necessary. Then Monday, the day before the exam, I woke up in the hotel room. I woke up at the same time I'd be getting up on Tuesday, the first day of the exam, and I did some light studying for a few hours. Then after that, myself and some friends walked from the hotel to the Breslin Center where we would take the exam the next day. We made sure to go during the hours that the center would be open to view the room. Actually, funny story, during that walk, one of my friends sprained her ankle. So I don't know that I would recommend walking if you're thinking about it. So when we got to the Breslin Center, they let us go in and see the room, but they didn't let us go on the floor where all the tables were. So I just viewed it up above. I found my seat because I knew my seat number ahead of time, which everyone will. And I took some notes of where the nearest restroom was. I took some photos, and I noted just the overall experience and what to expect the next day. Then I went home, or back to the hotel, sorry, relaxed. I watched some funny TV with my dad and then went to bed early.
Perfect. And what did you do the morning of the exam?
So the morning of the exam on both days, I woke up a few hours early and then I ate breakfast. I brought my own food to avoid any issues with finding food and also just the convenience. And I ate the same thing that I eat every morning. And I included extra blueberries because those are supposed to be great for brain food. Then I made sure to drink lots of water, lots of Gatorade, just to keep me hydrated throughout the day. But I stopped drinking an hour before the exam. Then I went down to the hotel gym with my best friend who I'd studied with every day for the bar exam. And I lightly reviewed my JD Advising MBE1 sheets while I simply walked on the treadmill next to my friend. The main reason I did this was to get my body moving and energized. And I think this was the smartest choice I made before the exam because after that, I was really excited and ready to go and take the exam. So then I took a shower and I got ready. And my dad drove me there and dropped me off, which was so great because I didn't have to worry about parking or traffic or anything. And I would highly advise all students taking the exam in July to remember that it's really, really hot because it's July in Michigan. But the Breslin Center is known for being extremely cold during the exam. So if you're thinking about walking to the exam or somewhere for lunch, there's a chance you're going to come back to the exam really sweaty and uncomfortable because you want to be prepared by dressing in layers, which I did. And I also avoided this by having my dad drive me, so I was protected from the elements. Personally, at the Breslin Center, I found my seat was a comfortable temperature the whole time. However, some of my friends told me after that their seat was extremely cold because there was a fan blowing directly on them. So I think some spots can be colder than others.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I've heard too. We tell our students not to wear sandals, not to wear shorts, because you never know where you're going to be sitting and you don't want to be freezing cold the whole exam. It's much easier to take layers off if you need to, or unzip a sweater or something like that, than it is to put layers on because obviously there's only so many things you can bring into the testing center with you. So that's really good advice. I know when I took the bar exam, I wore those like fingerless gloves with hand warmers in them the whole time because my hands get really cold. And the exam room itself was really cold that day. And I was really glad I did that, even if I didn't look that fashionable, because I felt like it really helped, help me concentrate on the exam. I wasn't thinking about being cold. So that's really good advice. Thank you for saying that. And then what happened when you actually sat down to take the exam?
So when I first got to my seat, I quickly introduced myself to everyone sitting around me and was very friendly. I got this advice from someone who had previously taken the exam. She told me, you're going to be spending the next 2 days with these people. It's going to be really awkward if you don't say hi. So that was the first thing I did. And because of this, everyone was really friendly the whole time, which made me less stressed. And we helped each other out in little ways. No cheating, of course. The next thing I did was laid out all my materials on my desk and set up my space. I booted up my computer, plugged it in, did all that. I also brought extra materials, including pencils, erasers, tissues, cough drops, etc. Not for me, but for everyone around me. And I set this extra stuff out on the table and told everyone to just take their pick, take what you need. And I just left it out for them in anticipation of them forgetting it because I didn't want to be distracted by anyone not having something. So you'd be surprised to find that at least two of the people sitting around me didn't have anything that I had brought and actually needed it. So I'm really glad that I did that. And if you're really distracted, easily distracted, then I'd say earplugs are a must. There was a ton of coughing during my exam, so the earplugs really helped out because I couldn't hear it. But other people told me afterward that's all they were hearing.
That's really good advice. I tell people to whatever worked for you in law school, it's a good idea to replicate it on the bar exam. So if you needed earplugs during a law school exam, then take them to the bar exam too. So that's also good advice to introduce yourself to people around you. I sat next to somebody, I called her my bar exam buddy. And then it was about 2 or 3 years after that, we ran into each other at court. And we didn't recognize each other right away because we both were obviously professionally dressed in court and we both were not professionally dressed for the bar exam. So it was kind of funny seeing someone, that far after the exam again. All right, perfect. Did you study at all the day before the exam or the day of the exam? I know you mentioned reviewing MBE1 sheets. Did you do anything else? Was it pretty, intensive studying, or did you do any light studying? And how did you feel about that decision?
So, as I said before, I did study the day before and the day of both exams. However, this was not intense studying at all. This was just light reviewing and making sure I knew the material. I used JD Advising's MBE1 sheets for the multiple choice portion and the Michigan 1 sheets in the back of our How to Pass the Michigan Bar Exam book for the essay portion. Plus, I used other documents that I had made myself with different mnemonics and helpful materials, helpful concepts. So all I did was read over these. I didn't try to learn anything new because I knew that would just stress me out and not be beneficial overall. Overall, I'm very happy that I did this because it helped me realize that I knew a lot of things that were going to be on the exam. Plus, one of the mnemonics that I reviewed the morning of day one was one of the essays that was tested. It was corporations piercing the corporate veil. So when I got to that question, I was able to really quickly jot down my mnemonic and answer that question well. So that was a bonus.
Perfect. That's a big bonus. And that's good. I think some light studying, if you are going to study, is a good idea. Definitely not anything too intense, or doing something like multiple choice questions or something probably isn't the best idea. So it's good. And if you're lucky, maybe you'll see something that you just reviewed on the exam. Perfect. And then how did you feel after the essay day and after the MBE day?
I felt really good after the first set of essays because I knew everything that was tested and I thought I wrote great answers. After the second set of essays, I was a little nervous because they were more difficult concepts tested. And then after the MBE on day 2, I was really just happy that the whole thing was over. I thought I did a good job, but I wasn't positive. It was always hard for me to tell with the MBE how I did in the end.
Perfect. It is hard, especially now that they have 25 test questions on the MBE. A lot of people tend to remember those kind of unusual test questions, and then they worry about those questions and wonder if they got them right or not. And really, they don't even count toward your score. But I find that especially recently, since they've increased the number from 10 to 25 test questions, people tend to feel not necessarily great after the MBE. or find it hard to kind of gauge their performance. So perfect. And then how did you check bar exam results?
So a friend texted me that results were out, and I went and found my number online, which they post. They post everyone who passed. I knew my number by heart, but I double checked it just to make sure. And the results came out during work, and I just checked right away. I didn't even care because I had to know. Then after, I immediately called my dad because he'd been there for me throughout the whole process. And I told a couple other family members, texted them, but I didn't post anywhere online.
Perfect. That's exactly what we recommend, actually. The Michigan Board of Law Examiners will post by seat number. So remember, you have to keep track of your seat number. I'd write it down. If you forget it, right now, they do not give you your seat number over the phone or any other way. You just have to wait till official results are mailed. But basically, they post these kind of unofficial passing results online. You can check if your seat number's on there. That means you passed. So that's a good way to find out kind of instantly if you passed or not. We have had students who either misremembered their seat number or didn't check it, and they thought they passed and they didn't, or they thought they failed when in reality they passed. So I always recommend waiting to make any big announcements on social media or anything like that until you get your official results in the mail. It's fine to call a couple people and let them know, but generally I wouldn't make any big announcements until it's official, just to make sure that you didn't make any mistakes and that the board didn't make any mistakes. And so far, the Michigan Board of Law Examiners has not made any mistakes in posting seat numbers, but that's not true of all boards. Other state Board of Law Examiners have messed it up in the past. And it's a good idea to have a plan for checking results. Like Isabella mentions that she checked hers right when they came out at work, which a lot of people do because they can't wait to see if they passed or not. It's sometimes people will wait till they get home or they'll ask their boss if they can leave early. In the recent years, the Board of Law Examiners has actually posted results around 4 p.m. So it's pretty close to the end of the workday, but typically they'll do it between noon and 4 p.m. on a typical administration. So I would just have a plan in place for how you're going to check results, if you're going to check results online, and then remember to wait for that official letter to make any big announcements. So thank you so much, Isabella, for telling us about your bar exam experience. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.